Once upon a time, there was a kind and gentle girl named Tam. Her mother had passed away, and her father later married a woman who already had a daughter named Cam. Now, Tam's stepmother loved Cam very much, but she hated Tam because Tam was always in the way. So, whenever she had the chance, she forced Tam to do all the hard work around the house and in the fields. One day, the stepmother gave both girls a basket and said, "Go to the pond and catch fish. Whoever catches more will get a reward." Tam nodded and went to the pond. She worked hard and caught a full basket of fish, while Cam just played lazily by the bank and only caught a few little ones. After a while, Tam went home, but on the way, she stopped to wash her hair. And this was just what Cam was waiting for. She ran over and said, "Sister, your hair is dirty. Let me help you wash it." Then, while Tam was washing her hair, she poured all of Tam's fish into her own basket and ran home as fast as she could. Tam returned home with an empty basket and started to cry. A gentle Buddha appeared and asked, "Why are you crying, child?" Tam explained what had happened, and the Buddha said, "Don't be sad. I'll give you a small fish to keep. Raise it carefully, and one day it will grow up and help you." Then the Buddha disappeared, and Tam fed the little fish every day, and it grew bigger and bigger. But one day, her stepmother secretly got up early, caught the fish, and cooked it for breakfast. Again, Tam started to cry, and the Buddha appeared. "Why are you crying again?" she asked. Tam told her what had happened, and the Buddha said, "Don't be sad. Just collect the fish bones and bury them in the garden. Something wonderful will happen." So, Tam buried the fish bones and watered them every day. And after a few days, from that spot grew a beautiful, tree-bearing golden fruit. Every day, many people came to pick the golden fruit, but only Tam could pick them. The fruit never fell off the tree. Her stepmother knew about the tree and wanted the golden fruit for herself. So, one night, she made a long hook and climbed the tree to steal the fruit. But every time she reached out for the fruit, it slipped through her fingers and fell down, making a loud noise. The next morning, Tam asked her father, "Why was the tree disturbed last night?" Her father replied, "It must have been a wild animal." But Tam didn't believe him. She took a sharp knife and climbed the tree. When she was about to reach the fruit, her stepmother came again and grabbed her skirt, trying to pull her down. But Tam held on tight to the tree and kept climbing. Finally, she picked the fruit and brought it to the house. She gave some to her father and stepmother, and they were so happy they stopped bothering her. Then one day, the king announced a grand festival at the palace. Tam wanted to go, but her stepmother said, "I want to make a new dress for you, so you can't go." Tam was very upset, but she couldn't argue with her stepmother. She sat down sadly when suddenly a flock of birds flew in and perched on her shoulders. They asked, "Why are you sad?" Tam explained her problem, and they said, "Don't worry, we'll help you." Then the birds flew to the field and pecked at all the grains of rice, until they were separated from the husks. This took a whole day, but by nightfall, everything was ready. Tam thanked the birds and went to the festival. She met the king, and he was immediately enchanted by her beauty. As they walked together, the king accidentally slipped one of his golden slippers off. Tam picked it up and everyone gasped because it fit her foot perfectly. That meant she was the king's destined bride. The king was overjoyed and arranged for her to become the queen. Meanwhile, back at home, her stepmother and Cam were so angry that the ugly duckling had become a beautiful swan. They thought about how to get rid of Tam, but nothing seemed to work. Then, one day, Tam told her stepmother that she was going to climb a beetle tree to pick some fruit. Her stepmother had an idea and took an axe to the tree. While Tam was climbing, she cut the tree down and Tam fell to her death. The king heard about the accident and rushed to the garden where he found Tam lying dead on the ground. He was heartbroken and ordered the most elaborate funeral for her. He missed her so much that he neglected his duties and didn't care about anything. Some said the king even became ill because of his lost love. After a while, Cam thought to herself, "This is all my fault. If I hadn't tricked her, she wouldn't have died. Maybe now the king will finally pay attention to me." So, she went to see the king and said, "Your Majesty, I know a spell that can bring the queen back to life. Just let me go get the ingredients." The king agreed, But before she left, he put a golden ring on her finger and said, "If you try any funny business, this ring will turn into a snake and bite you." Cam didn't take the warning seriously and went to gather the ingredients. But as soon as she stepped out of the palace gate, the ring turned into a snake and bit her, and she died right there. After that, the king felt even worse than before, because he realized that he had made a big mistake by marrying Cam. He couldn't stop thinking about Tam, and it seemed like she wasn't at peace. Then one night, a bird flew into the palace and perched on the king's shoulder. It said, "Don't be sad, Your Majesty. Your beloved queen has returned." The king couldn't believe it, but the bird led him outside and disappeared. There, he saw a loom in the middle of the garden. The king was puzzled, but he touched the loom, and in front of his eyes, the cloth began to move and change color. Suddenly, Tam appeared right before him, looking more beautiful than ever. She explained that she had come back because the king had missed her too much. She had tried to return many times before, but each time she had to start over as a bird or a loom. Finally, she had returned in the form of a fruit, but luckily, the king had found her. From that day on, Tam was happy to be with the king again. As for Cam, she had learned her lesson. Although she had died, her soul had been reborn, and she would never bother Tam again. The end.